So Gareth, we're here at Kapow Comic Convention. You've been on a panel today, haven't you? And it was a director's panel. Tell me a bit about it.
An interesting thing that came up towards the end was about inspiration and where do you get it, and do you ever find that you've copied something, or what film most did you imitate? And then we all started getting into like the fact that it's sort of subconscious, and you sort of realise it sometimes too late. Oh yeah, that's where that shot came from. It's from that movie. And then you have to decide, do I now get rid of it because it's too similar to that movie that I love, or do I just leave it in and just consider it like subconscious inspiration? And it's really nice to know that everybody has that, because you sort of do it yourself and think, and you feel like guilty that all these films, it's inevitable really, but all these films that inspired you when you were growing up are going to just find, that language is going to find its way into your filmmaking, because it's like your parents speaking English and then somehow trying not to speak English when you open your mouth. Of course you're going to. And so yes, there are certain films I think I'm going to find it hard to like make movies without being infected a little bit by them.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, did you find, for example, with Monsters, that maybe there were scenes, like you said, that you thought, oh yes, that's been influenced by such and such thing, but maybe when critics or the audiences were watching it afterwards, there were things that you hadn't picked up on, or that you hadn't noticed, and you thought, oh, actually, yeah.
Yeah, there was loads. Like I didn't set out to make a political film at all. It's not a political film, but I set out to have a layer of politics just tucked under the love story, and the layer of politics I was trying to do, what I thought was interesting, was that this idea, this metaphor for if there are monsters and they kill people, like at what price is it worth defeating the monsters? If you kill more people trying to get rid of them than they would ever kill, is it still worth doing? Which is very obviously a parallel to like the war on terror. Like, we're killing so many innocent people trying to stop terrorism in the Middle East than terrorists have ever killed. So it was a little bit like a little question. It wasn't a comment, just like a question, like but you try and say it out loud in other types of films and you look like you're preaching, but if you wrap it in a sci-fi movie, you kind of get away with it, or people don't even notice. And then we showed the movie in Texas for the first time at South by Southwest, and all the questions were like, "What? Your film's obviously about immigration, and you know the Mexican immigration into America, and the wall, and the journey, and you were like, oh yeah, of course they're gonna, yeah." Like, it was not. Of course, it was going to come along, but I was kind of disappointed that that's what everyone was reading into it, because it wasn't. I wanted it to be about this thing about war, and is it right, you know, to do. Like, there's a scene in the film where there's these candles, and we put it in Spanish to try and keep it really subtle, but they're like, one of the things we put up was, who are the monsters? Someone had graffitied on a wall, and I felt like that represented the movie, that question, and that's why it's called Monsters. And it just got lost, like, it was too, I think it was too layered, too deep, and it just, and yeah, so what I went into it trying to create is not what someone else watching it will perceive or see. And so, but I think that's the beauty of anything, like you know, it's like your favorite music when you don't have the lyrics and you think you know what they're saying, but they sing it quite weird. And so and there's so many songs where I think they're saying these certain sentences and it means so much to me because they're talking metaphorically so perfectly about my life, and then suddenly you read the album and it's not even the words you think it is. And it's quite heartbreaking, because you feel like, and I heard that Tom York stopped printing his lyrics on Radiohead albums because he felt, I think correctly, that it really doesn't matter what the words are, it's what you hear, you know? And it's a cop-out, that's a massive cop-out for people who are creative. But I agree, I feel like you make a film, you're trying to do certain things, you're trying to create a film, I think, that if you hadn't made it, you would like. But then once you've done it, you let go, and whatever it is to other people, and they'll start telling you what they think, like it's crap. Yeah, I think that's out of your control then you don't own it anymore, and it's gone.